0. That is the number of SM-6 interceptors remaining aboard the USS Carney. The radar is clear. Every threat was intercepted. The battle was a perfect success. Stay with me, because how a flawless victory can be a strategic catastrophe. What the brutal math of missile depletion reveals about the architecture of American power, and why the world's most critical shipping lane is now indefensible, is the story hidden inside this operational success. For 50 years, the presence of a U.S. Navy destroyer was the undeniable guarantee of open seas. This guarantee was built on an architecture of technological overmatch. The Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, the AN-SPY-1 radar, the AEGIS combat system, a defensive shield designed to defeat finite salvos of high-performance Soviet anti-ship missiles. Its sustainability against a persistent, low-cost threat was never the primary design driver. The Red Sea became the first real-world stress test of this architecture. Operation Prosperity Guardian, a mission to protect global commerce. Let's talk about the math. A single RIM 174 Standard Missile 6, or SM-6, costs $4.3 million. The threat it is intercepting, a Shahed 136 type drone, costs $20,000. This is not a battle, it is a financial hemorrhage. The cost-exchange ratio is over 200 to 1. An adversary can launch 200 threats for the price of one single American interception. The battle space is not the sky, it is the spreadsheet. Let's talk about the magazine. A Flight 2A destroyer has 96 Mark 41 vertical launching system cells. But these cells must hold everything, offensive Tomahawk missiles and defensive interceptors. A typical defensive loadout is roughly 50 to 60 primary standard missiles. 56 shots to defend the global economy. The magazine is finite, the threat is not. Let's talk about the swarm. The attack is not a single salvo, it is a coordinated, multi-vector event. 100 drones and missiles, launched simultaneously. The objective is not to sink the destroyer. The objective is to make it fire its weapons. The AEGIS system performs perfectly. It networks sensors, it prioritizes threats, it assigns interceptors. Launch, intercept, splash. The VLS counter ticks down. 40. A second wave of threats appears, more complex, faster. The system recommends a 2 interceptor salvo for each ballistic missile. The burn rate accelerates, 20 remaining. 10 remaining. 5 remaining. The final interceptor is fired. The last hostile icon vanishes from the screen. 100% success. The fleet commander makes the only possible call. Let's talk about the withdrawal. The protector has to retreat. The global economy is exposed. The withdrawal creates a power vacuum. Within 12 hours, the Bab el-Mandeb is declared a war zone by maritime insurers. Insurance premiums for transit spike 5,000%. Not a price increase, a stop signal. Let's talk about the supply chain. Maersk, Hapag-Lloyd, MSC, they announce a full suspension of all Red Sea transits. The artery of global trade is severed. Fleets are diverted around the Cape of Good Hope. This adds 14 days and $1 million in fuel costs per voyage. A systemic shock to a system that was already brittle. Oil prices spike 15% in 72 hours. The kinetic event is over. The economic cascade has just begun. Let's talk about the factory. The industrial base cannot replace these interceptors in months. It takes years. Raytheon's production goal for the SM-6 is approximately 125 missiles per year. In one night, the Navy burned through more than a full year's worth of production. This is the thermal bridge of asymmetry. The exquisite high-cost interceptor is the weak point, not the strong point. You don't need to sink the destroyer, you just need to bleed the system. Let's talk about the port. Replenishing VLS cells is a complex operation that cannot be done at sea. It requires a secure, developed port with specialized equipment. The total time for a depleted ship to travel, rearm, and return is 14 to 28 days. For up to a month, that ship is combat ineffective. The logistical tail is now the primary target. Victory by logistical exhaustion. The event sends a shockwave through the Pentagon. The math is exposed for everyone to see. Not a military failure, a structural failure. The U.S. Navy was built to win battles. It was not designed to win a war of attrition against an enemy armed with spreadsheets. From this morning forward, the foundation of American power has been rewritten. The U.S. role as the ultimate guarantor of freedom of navigation has been shattered. Not by a sunken ship, but by an emptied spreadsheet. Here's what this means. It means a new blueprint for defeating a superpower is now public. It means the playbook is simple. Find the most expensive defensive munition and force your enemy to fire it. It means rivals are emboldened. They have seen the architecture break. Here's what this means for allies. It means they must now question the credibility of American security guarantees. If the U.S. cannot sustain a low-intensity fight in the Red Sea, How can it be relied upon in a high-intensity conflict in the Pacific? The assumption beneath it all was technological overmatch. The assumption beneath it all was wrong. Thresholds, once crossed, cannot be uncrossed. The system that kept the sea lanes open worked. The system that was supposed to sustain it did not. The wreckage is not a ship at the bottom of the ocean. The wreckage is the broken math of American power. The radar is clear. The sea is not